Welcome to the Home Group Podcast, where we discuss everything addiction, recovery, mental health. I am Flip.
And I am Luke. Our generation of men, you're not allowed to have feelings.
We're going to talk about things that are uncomfortable, things that are scary, because when you talk about it, you take away its power.
The only thing that's going to keep me clean is me not wanting to be who I was then.
We was in the trenches, now look how we out here ballin'. Popped up in the max, now we flooring in the fall.
Welcome to the Home Group Podcast, where we discuss everything addiction, recovery, mental health. I am Flip. Clean date, April Fool's 2016.
And I am Luke, and I've been a grateful recovering addict since October 11th, 2017.
And I'm so glad you got it correct on the demo that's not going to get, shown.
Right.
So, episode 3. Excited. I'm excited. You came up with a great topic.
Yeah.
I'm super excited about it. You want to get into it? First of all, hold on. Before we get into all that, what's going on? How's life? What's new? What's shaking? What's cooking?
My stepdaughter's broken.
Okay. Do explain.
She's like a little dance robot.
Okay.
And I get home from work and I take 2 steps in from the front door and she's like, hey, check out my new dance. And she's in my face, right? Right? And I'm not sure, maybe we broke her. I don't know if maybe we broke her, and I can't find I'm just looking for a control alt delete, just a hard reset.
Hard reset.
You know what I mean? I don't want to send her
Yeah.
back. I'm just maybe a factory reset or a soft, whatever.
So, did you ever see the movie Step Up?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. That movie made me want to be a dancer so bad. And I...
Oh, you mean with Channing Tatum? Yeah. I know it well.
I was dancing in my room nonstop. I will say, the difference, I was not dancing in front of my parents.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I don't think I would ever dance in front of my parents.
No.
As an adult. Or as a child.
Absolutely not.
If I would have done that in front of my dad, he would have had me thrown in jail. I would have been in juvie.
So is there music playing when she's doing this dancing?
No, Flip. There's nothing. Okay?
It's just dance moves.
Dance moves.
Dance battle.
To the point where you can hear her. And then she's doing, watch me whip. Watch me nay-nay. She's doing it all, dog. No. Right now, it's the stanky leg. Tomorrow, it'll be, should be Superman in that hoe.
You're in quite the conundrum.
Yeah.
How old is she?
She is, you put me on the spot right there. She's 12. She's 12.
Final answer?
She's 12.
Is that your final answer?
She's 12.
You want to use a lifeline?
Can I say 13 one time? And then if this doesn't go well, we can double check. And then we can...
Splice?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right now?
Yep.
She's 13.
Okay.
And then let's go back, because I'm pretty sure she is 12.
Yep.
She's 12. She's 12 years old.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I was sneaking out of my window at 12 and smoking cigarettes for God knows what reason.
Yeah, I see what you're doing here, and you're trying to do the thing that I always do, max perspective. You know what I mean? It could be worse. No, I know what you're doing, and
literally,
I respect it. I don't like it,
literally,
but I respect it.
1 year from how old she is now, because she's 12.
Yeah.
1 year from now, I was catching my first charge.
Yeah, I was already smoking weed at her age.
Yeah. So I think the stanky leg, I'll take it. Yeah. Do you want to know what my 3.5-year-old just did to me on Saturday?
What?
I was laying in bed, relaxing, after a long day. And she comes up to the bed, and she says, Daddy, tomorrow you're going to take me to the park, or I'm going to kick you in the nuts. Your choice. Choose. Just like that. Straight faced. I need you guys to understand this. Straight faced.
Yeah, but...
You're going to take me to the park, or I'm going to kick you in the nuts. You choose. Choose. With the little finger. Choose. Okay?
She's a G.
So Sunday I took her to the park, and the rest is history.
Yeah.
So we got our hands full. This parenting's no joke, dude. It is. My mom gets a kick out of it, right? Because, like they say, kind of what goes around comes around, right? And it's one of those kind of full circle moments because she sees my daughter just bossy and sassy, and she looks at me and she goes, "You're welcome."
Flip.
Yeah.
What goes around comes around. I have never done a dance in front of my parents until they start glitching out and looking for an easy way out.
You did just say Channing Tatum, okay?
Is that what I said?
Oh, you said it. Play it back. Play it back.
This microphone is trash. Okay?
Ivan, do me splice it up, play it back.
Did you see the secret setting on this microphone to make
As a
it
matter
better?
of fact, pop up a
Ivan,
picture.
don't touch those dials.
Put up a picture of Channing Tatum from Magic Mike when he says that, right? Maybe a little think bubble.
They just dropped the new Magic Mike.
I did not know that. I do now. Are you going to see it?
It's on the site
Are you going to see it?
that I pay for.
Are you going to see it? I'm not. I'm not going to see it.
I would never.
I'm not going to watch it.
I would never watch that disgusting piece of film ever.
Okay, so when are we going to watch it?
Right after this podcast.
All right, perfect. So, what did you want to get into? Because you told me, and I loved it, and now that we're talking, I completely forgot.
Well, when I was thinking about it, I was thinking about like the wreckage of our past and how we deal with that today and like moving forward with our lives. But the more I thought about it, it was more like turning into like a resentment towards myself type thing.
Heavy.
Now, yeah, so if I could, I will
Elaborate.
tell you a story.
I love stories.
And I'll bring it all the way back
Okay.
to 2012 when I had my son. When my ex-wife had my son, but I was there in the room.
Of course.
Which was supposed to be like the best day of my life.
Yep.
I didn't know at the time that it was the best day of my life because I was high.
Mm-hmm.
I was on some maintenance meds, which maintenance meds are Subutex, Suboxone, Methadone, stuff like that. It's a trap. These doctors, they give them to you telling you that it's going to be perfectly fine, but I will find a way to abuse anything.
Of course.
So not only was I on maintenance meds, my son was withdrawing and had to be sent to the NIC unit. And that was, that's like now, that's the only thing that I can remember of it. It was supposed to be this beautiful moment and it just turned into just a living hell, right? So fast forward about 4 years later, I'm still on Suboxone.
Yeah.
All right, I was shooting them and, for anybody that's ever used drugs intravenously, it's like, it's more so that you're addicted to the point. You know what I mean?
It's like smoking.
The whole
it's
process,
like smoking cigarettes.
right?
You know what I mean?
Process,
Like it's
the hand and mouth motion.
Yeah.
But I mean, I used through the first 4 years of my son's life, and I tricked myself into thinking that I'm on these maintenance meds, never having a program, never working any steps. 12 steps to me was for Hollywood, dog.
Yeah.
Like that's something that, like I saw in movies. I never knew that was like actually a thing.
It was hokey.
Right. It was like
Gimmicky.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's not for me. I'm different, right?
Of course.
I'm better than that.
Terminally unique.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I'm on these subs and I'm working and I accumulated a vehicle and we got to the point where I ended up getting a loan on a house. I mean, I know I'm treading the razor's edge, dog. Yeah. $180,000 loan on a house in Northport. And we had about 24 hours to move into this house from our apartment. The landlord said we had to be out. So I'm like, how are we going to do this? And then I'm like, wait a minute, I know exactly how we're going to do this. We're going to hit the fucking cheat code on this motherfucker. And we're going to go get us a bag of ice. Right? Worst decision I ever made in my life.
Of course.
Maybe in hindsight, it was the best decision because it started my spiral downward, which led me I mean, not that it was the best decision. It was the decision on the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
I think that everything that we did leads us right to where we are, and there was no veering from that path.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything happens for a reason. So we get the bag. Obviously, we get everything out of the house in time.
Of course. And then some.
And I was spotless.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a Swiffer sweeper on the wall like this. And that's no bullshit. Yeah. So we get into the house in Northport from Inglewood. And, you know, it was immediately. Now, 4 months down the line, I haven't paid a mortgage payment.
Of course not. Why would you?
I haven't paid a payment on my car.
Sounds about right.
I loaned my car to some dude to go cop or whatever. He never came back. He ended up selling it for crack or something, and it ended up getting totaled on the interstate. Whoever he sold it to, they totaled it. The cops called me talking about, hey, you know, sent me a picture. Hey, is this your car? And my kid's car seat is slung across the interstate in the median.
Jesus.
Yeah. And I was like, nah. I'm just, you know what I mean? I was so scared of like cops, and I was so scared of, you know, whatever it was. I'm just paranoid. I'm on ice, dog. I'm seeing shadow people. I'm up for days at a time. It's just a nasty, dirty thing. So my life is completely turning to shit. I have absolutely no control over my life whatsoever. I mean, it's at the point where we're going into the other room, and he's like coming into the room and like seeing us shoot dope and stuff. Yeah. And like I gotta like turn away from him. Man, he's like, oh, you know, like trying to. Yeah. And I remember one time I was giving him a bath, and then I don't remember anything. And from what I was told is I was giving him a bath, and during this bath I passed out, sitting on the toilet, fell forward, and blasted my head off of the bathtub and went into the water with him. And he's fucking like 3 or 4 years old. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, how crazy is that, bro?
Insanity.
How crazy is that for him? I couldn't imagine it, bro.
Can't imagine.
You know, so that's something that I gotta live with. So one night, probably the worst night of my life, in my addiction. We were at
that wasn't the worst night in your addiction? Okay, go ahead. Onward.
We were at that was one of the worst nights of my addiction. But we were at the house in Northport, been up for a few days. You know, and I hear a bang on the door, and naturally everybody just scatters into the corners like roaches when somebody bangs on the door like the police. And it turns out it is the cops and a DCF worker. And my son runs out, probably by the grace of God, runs out into the living room, and he's standing in his pajamas. Who knows if he even had pajamas on? I just said that to save my own skin. Yeah. My son could have been butt naked. Yeah. I was completely a wreck, dude. Yeah. Horrible father at the time. Yeah. He's looking out the window, and the cop is shining this flashlight in at him, saying, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Come on, come open the door. And when I saw that, it hurt me so bad inside. Like, to think, like, what is this? I'm looking at it through the cop's eyes and through that DCF worker's eyes. Like, what are they thinking right now? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So I went out there. I opened the door. What's going on? Are you Lucas Grant, Manny Grant? Yeah. Okay, well, we're going to have to take Wesley. So we were able to call Mandy's mom, Candy, who was a godsend. she's been an angel. I mean, she picked up the reins for me. And she has taken my kids in, and she has completely given them everything that they could ever ask for. They're straight A students, like, but yeah, man. So they took them, and from that point, I never fully had custody back of my kids. So that's something that I have to live with today.
Yeah.
That is the wreckage of my past, that I don't have custody of my kids. I'll never be their father again. Legally. I'll always be their dad, right? But today, like, I'm able to, is it called a living amends? Is that for somebody who has passed?
No.
Okay, so that's what I'm able to work today.
That's what I work for. Like, even people I tried to make amends to who didn't forgive me.
Right.
Every day is kind of a living amends.
Right.
So.
Dude, my biggest resentments, I mean, I'm on step 4 right now.
Yeah.
And my biggest resentments are, like, I can't even see past the resentment for myself yet. I'm so blinded in this hatred for who I used to be, and the piece of shit that I was, and the just deadbeat dad that I was, the horrible husband that I was, the horrible son that I was, stealing from my mom, and, just doing anything, bro. Nothing mattered than getting high, bro. Nothing. There wasn't a single thing. Not my kids, not my material objects, not anything. And then I realized that none of that shit's going to keep me clean.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's going to keep me clean is me not wanting to be who I was then. So, and I think that's where the biggest resentment is for me.
That's heavy, dude.
Yeah.
It's and it's so weird, right? Like, I'm very in touch with myself spiritually, and what I mean by that is not necessarily am I a religious person or pray all the time or any of that, but I am aware of the signs when they come, right? And I am willing to look at them, right? So you had texted me, I believe we discussed doing the podcast last night, and you had sent that, right? And I was at work today, and I was on LinkedIn, and I was scrolling, and all my LinkedIn is for work, right? But I follow some influential people, and it said the 7 habits for successful people, right? And number 6 was living in the present, not in the past, right? And I thought that I was like, how crazy is that? Because we're talking about living with the wreckage of our past, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, right, it was vital, right? It was a huge part. Now I've worked my steps. I've gotten through my steps, right? I also did a lot of writing. You know what I mean? I'm a huge advocate of writing. But I know, talking at the rehab, that helps me tremendously, and I've been doing it for years, right? For me, because you're only as sick as your secrets, right? And so you have to get to a point where you don't have to forget, but you have to forgive yourself, right?
Right.
And that's just the reality, and that's in so many scenarios. Listen, you are not the only one that lost their kids. You are not the only one that put their kids through that. You're not the only terrible drug addict.
Yeah,
you know
I notice that when I share in meetings.
Oh, God. So many people can relate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or when I listen to other people share, it's like there's a specific pattern that all of our addiction takes us through.
Yeah.
And, it's loss. Most of it falls under the generalization of loss.
I mean, listen, I experienced so much loss that I couldn't even tell you everything that I lost because of my addiction. You know what I mean? I couldn't even remember it all. The first 2 years of my sobriety, this is a true story, I thought so little of myself, and my self-worth was so minuscule that when I would brush my teeth, I wouldn't look at myself in the mirror.
Oof.
I didn't look at myself in the mirror for 2 years. When I would walk by crowds of people, I would walk with my head down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because that's how little I thought of myself. Now, luckily, through step work, through writing, through learning about myself, through reading, through talking with others, right? I got through that. Yeah. And, you know, it started with simple things. Like, I was speaking with a counselor, and she said, next time you walk through a group, make a conscious effort to hold your head up. See what happens. You know what I mean? And I remember telling her when I first got to rehab, I was there probably a couple months. And I told her, like, when I walk in the morning for devotionals, guys and girls, the cafeteria slap full of people, as I'm walking to my seat, I would think that, oh, this girl's making fun of me. This dude's making fun of me. This girl's like, oh, look at this, you know, look how this dude looks. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, all just negative stuff, right?
Ain't nobody worried about you.
And she said, how self-centered are you? And I said, no. I don't think that they think I'm fly. Yeah. I think that they're, like, making fun of me. And she goes, yes, how self-centered are you? Right? She goes, how do you know the girl's not thinking, oh, I need to get out of here so I can blow dry my hair? Right. How do you know that the guy's not like, I can't wait till I can get out of here and go drop a deuce? You know what I mean? Right. Like, why do you think they're thinking anything of you? Right. And so that made me incredibly aware, right? But also helped me start to come to terms with the individual that I was trying to become, right? Because I'll be damned, I am not going to be defined by the guy that would steal your wallet and help you look for it. Yeah. The guy who manipulated, put my mom, who was my everything, is my everything, right? Put her through hell and then some, right? I'm not going to be that guy anymore, right? And I don't think that there's any one thing that you could be told or any one thing that you could read that's going to help you come to terms with it. I think awareness of it is a big thing from an outsider's perspective, right? And I've told you this before. It has been so cool to see the journey that you've been on with your kids since you've gotten out of prison, right? Yeah. Because I remember when, I mean, you weren't even allowed phone calls.
Yeah, it was a process. There was definitely levels to it.
Of course, which rightfully so. You know what I mean?
Like
because
I mean,
she was doing what was best for those kids.
Right.
But it's hard sometimes to see things, right? Especially you and I were talking about this. You and I were just talking about this, right? Because I wish that I could come with the witty quips and the zingers, right?
Right.
And you wanted to articulate better, right? Whatever the case is. But it's so funny because in the moment, you're picking at your flaws or what you think are flaws, which other people see as strengths, right? So from an outside perspective, to see all the work that you've done, right? And like the hurricane came through, right?
Yeah.
And like you're down there making sure your kids are okay. You know what I mean? Making sure.
Take a canoe down there, bro.
Of course.
I would have if we couldn't make it through.
Yeah.
But it was pretty dope because we're at points in our lives where I can come to you and I can say, hey, bro, I don't think my car is going to make it through that flood down there. Mm-hmm. And you throw me your keys. Mm-hmm. Here, bro, take the truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Almost lost your truck. I'm at a point in my life where I could feel bad about losing your truck.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have been a total loss. Yeah. Maybe a little fist fight. No. I wouldn't maybe had to take a punch in the face. But you know what I mean? Like, we keep it pushing, dog.
Yeah.
I would have taken a punch in the face and a loan out to get you a new truck.
No, but it's you know, we just talked about that the other day. Like, that's when I talk about the gifts of recovery, right? And that's a true measure to not being the individual that you were, right? And your past not defining who you are as a person, right?
Right.
You were over here the other day. You were parked behind me. We were actually trying to edit a podcast.
Yeah.
I had to run to the store. I said, "Hey, let me take your car." You did. You threw me the keys and went right back to doing what you were doing.
Yeah.
Didn't ask where I was going, when I was going to be back.
Didn't even think about it.
Exactly. And I still, after all this time, right? And I've had a million things like that happen. But I still, to this day, when stuff like that happens, like, that's what's so cool. And that's how I know those are the reminders, right? And that goes with the self-awareness. Like, yes, I was a horrible person who did horrible things. Things that, to this day, have never been forgiven by individuals.
Yeah.
Things that, I've gotten high with people and, started their addiction, right? Or at least helped speed the process
Right.
along, and somewhere down the road they've overdosed and died. You know what I mean? I had a buddy of mine that I got super close with in rehab, and when we got out, I was serious about recovery. He was too. He veered off. I distanced myself, and I'll never forget. I was driving down Fruitville Saturday night, and I was like, I should give him a call. I was like, nah, but he'd call me if he was doing the right thing. That night, in the middle of the night, he overdosed and died. You know what I mean? And I had to go to that funeral, and I had to speak at that funeral, and I had to hug his grieving mother at that funeral. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
Dude, I'm sorry.
No.
That's such a weird, like, thing for me, bro. The balance between, like, loving somebody at a distance and helping, and doing a 12 and, like, helping a fellow addict. I think we've talked about that before because I brought a couple people to detox for my first time.
Yeah.
And that was something that I found really hard. I found it hard to figure out which side of the fence to be on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, how far is too far gone to where you need to back off of that person?
if I'm being honest, I think that it's probably harder for you, and you probably try to go all in because of the wreckage from your past, right? And you're trying to save as many people as you possibly can to hopefully
Save my soul.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
But this is the thing that I'm telling you. And this is not because we are friends. This is not because we have a brother type bond, right? Because firsthand, if you're wrong, I will tell you you're wrong.
Yeah.
Vice versa, right?
Yeah.
But the man that you are today is so far from that guy, right? And so, yes, there's things that your son witnessed at a young age. You can't take it back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's things, I don't have a relationship with my biological father. And it's because of things that happened when I was a kid that I forgave him. I never forgot. And I just don't care to continue that relationship. I have a great relationship with my stepdad. Me and him talk every single day. You know what I mean? Father's Day, I got to take him to a Rays game. Like, because my whole life, I spent telling my stepdad, who raised me from the age of 6, right? Through all of my shit. I spent my entire life belittling him, right?
Yeah.
And because he wasn't my father, right? He wasn't my dad, right? And I put him through shit, and I stole shit from him, and I disrespected him, and I mean, just everything, right?
That's what we were talking about in the beginning. You get full circle.
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, this is what I did. Every time I messed up, went to jail, went to rehab, went to detox, whatever the case was, I came out and I'm like, things are going to be different this time.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be different. You'll see.
I'm cured.
Yeah. Nothing ever changed, right?
Yeah.
So this time, I said, you know what? I'm going to be a man of action. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm going to be about it. I didn't talk to him my first 2 years clean. because he had washed his hands of me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I didn't want to. I wanted to get some substantial clean time.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I wrote him a note. I wrote him a letter, right? Because I didn't want to.
Threw a kite out there.
I didn't want to get. Sometimes when you get caught up in a conversation, you forget.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't say everything. I
You
want to get it
wanted
all
clear,
down on paper,
crystal
right?
clear.
Ever since then, like I said, we talk every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That relationship's grown.
Yeah, you guys are close.
Super close. I respect him, and now that I'm older and a little wiser, right? I see that I had a father the entire time.
Yeah, man.
The entire time I was wanting this father who didn't want to be a father, and that's okay. You
Right.
know, he's at the point in his life and his journey, and this is his life. I can't tell him how to feel or act or anything like that. But I've had a father the entire time, right? Now you want to talk about karma. You want to talk about a higher power having a sense of humor, right? Now I am a stepfather, right? And I am scared to death. My son's 7. I'm all he knows. He doesn't know about the biological.
Is he only 7?
He's only 7.
He talks like he's 16.
I know. Oh, I know. And me and my wife have begun to have the discussion of having the conversation with him. Now, this goes back.
Euthanasia.
This goes back.
Euthanize. No.
No.
What talk?
The talk that I'm not his biological father.
Oh, God.
Right?
Okay.
Now, this goes back to living with the wreckage of our past.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I am scared to have the conversation with him because I am already projecting the things he is going to say and do when he is 13 like I was and I got arrested, and on my way home from jail, my stepdad said, I should beat the shit out of you. And if you pull a stunt like this again and bring drugs into my house, I will.
Yeah.
Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. And not for nothing, I probably should have got the shit beat out of me a little more as a kid, right?
Right.
And I'll never forget the next morning, I take a shower, I'm getting ready for school, my mom comes in and I tell her, if he lays a hand on me, I'm calling the cops. And she said, how dare you? And I said, he's not my dad. He can't touch me. Right? He can't put his hands on me. And she was so mortified. And I couldn't understand in that moment why she was so mortified, right? Here I am, 37 years old. I have a 7-year-old. I'm afraid to have a conversation with him because in my mind, he's going to say, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad.
Yeah.
You know what I
can't
mean?
put your hands on me.
So
and then you got to pay me to punch him in the face, and then it's,
yeah, we're right back to
we're
square
right
one.
back to square one.
Yeah. But so I mean, the wreckage of our past comes in many different shapes, forms, right? And in my experience, the wreckage of our past can affect us in different ways, right? And obviously, what you're dealing with is affecting you a little more. In my opinion, right? It's something that needs to get looked at, talked about, figured out, right? Mine is, it bothers me, right? But in the grand scheme of things, I have forgiven myself. And I think once you get through the 4th and the 5th step, there's going to be a lot of clarity. And it's like one of those, for me, people hate the 4th step, right? I was so stoked about step work, and especially the 4th step. Like, people dread the 4th step. I was excited because I looked at it like, this is just another piece to the puzzle of me figuring myself out.
Right.
And so by me taking that objective stance on it, right, it made it so much easier. Like, I'm going to tell you exactly why I was an absolute scumbag. I'm going to tell you everything. I'm not leaving anything out because I have to get this out.
Right.
If I have any chance.
And now you can identify it.
Of course. And that's the biggest, for me, right? In recovery, you Yes. Step work, vital. Yes. Sponsor, vital. Yes, all of these things are super important, right? For me, meetings, support group, all of that stuff's vital, right? For me, if you do not have willingness, right? And if you do not have awareness, like, I'm not saying that you can't stay clean. I'm just saying it is so much easier with those things, right? Willing to do whatever, willing to expose. We are so convinced that this is our way of life, right? If you look at it, what we're doing right now on this podcast, exposing ourselves,
Everything.
laying it out there.
Yeah, I just said some stuff that I've never told anybody.
Of course. And now you're sharing it with 4.5 people.
Right.
Right?
Potentially 1 million.
But
Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, if you don't have those things, right, that are just so the willingness, right, and that awareness. So, and you told me that your inventory, you've actually told us your inventory, you take about 3 hours at a time.
Yeah.
Right? And so my inventory is in the morning and at night.
Yeah.
And I know damn well when I am veering off track. And that's why I normally call you and tell you.
Yeah, I'm not on track a lot.
Yeah, oh, God,
At work.
Oh, yeah.
It's usually a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
When I get home from work, it's like, in Finding Nemo, where the fish is swimming through all the, and his dad's looking for him, right? And he's flying through, like, the schools of fish and the little, like, next to all these things and the coral reefs, and then he finally, that's me at work. I'm just, and then he finally breaks into open water, and then everything's in, like, slow motion, and he's just like, that's how I feel when I get home from work. And I'm so traumatized from my day at work that everything is in slow motion. I can't even concentrate. I get home and Wanda's trying to talk to me, and
you got your your daughter.
My daughter, the backup dancer for Britney Spears, just going ham, and I have no idea what is going on. And then I lay in bed, and the one thing that I love about this program that I haven't, something that I'm really searching for, is to be able to lay in bed and not have New York City inside of my head. Just this noise, dude. And there's voices, and there's people are screaming, and it sounds like, I'm telling you, dude, it sounds like fucking Brooklyn in my head. There's beat boys dancing on the corner and stuff, like, and people that have made it through the steps, I hear them talk about this calm, this quiet, that they can lay there in bed and it's just completely peaceful.
Yeah.
What? What is that?
I'm not there yet.
What is that?
Yeah, no, that's I know people like that.
Peaceful. I'll be lucky if I could fall asleep without my eyes being puffy from crying, Flip. Okay?
Yeah.
Have a full-blown conversation with my mom before bed. And then realize, like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just have my nightly cry before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
Wake up looking like I'm having a allergic reaction, bro. I wake up like this. I'm brushing my teeth.
I will say, when I lay my head down at night, it is not Brooklyn. It is not the middle of the country.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not like the Midwest.
Yeah, no. I would say
Colorado.
That, yes. Mine is more like Sarasota County Jail waiting room. You know what I mean?
Hang on, let me...
Where, like, people are, like, waiting to pick up people. So there's, like, some stuff going on, but it's not pandemonium.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? You might see a couple inmates shuffling around,
There's a
mopping the
couple
floor.
dudes,
Yeah,
there's a couple of there's always some dude in the corner trying to put his wiener on the glass for some girl in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a weirdo in there,
Yeah.
but like I get what you're saying.
There's a CEO who's watching probably TikTok. You know what I mean?
But everybody's just like really just trying to like figure out what's going on.
Yeah. So I would say that's more my mindset, right?
Okay.
I think that, you know, like I am super happy that you expressed the things that you've expressed, right? Because and I had no clue when you said wreckage of the past. I was like, oh, okay. Just, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we were all scumbags and now we're not.
I lost a pair of Oakleys
Yeah.
back then, and I really love those shades.
Yeah. I mean, you went in, but that's part of the healing process.
Right.
You know, it's true. We are only as sick as our secrets. Right. And you shared something that you had never shared before. Now, by doing that, it takes away its power, right?
Right.
And so that's why when people ask me, you know, stuff, there was a kid that does a lot of work for my mother-in-law, right? And he was doing work on the house, right? More so outside landscaping and stuff, like laid sod and stuff like that. And we pulled up on the golf cart one day, had my kids, my wife, myself, and I see his bike and I don't see him anywhere. And I just got a weird vibe. And I said, hold on one sec. And I went around back, and this dude, I've never seen a nod so hard in my entire life. Like Michael Jackson Thriller, dance sequence on the back porch, right? And I go up to tell my wife to take the golf cart and the kids and go back to grandma's house.
Yeah.
And she said, I see her go like this. And I look over my shoulder and he is falling down. Okay, listen to what I'm saying. He is falling down the fence, standing up.
So he was falling down for a couple minutes.
He was stop, dropping, and rolling along the fence.
Oof.
Okay? Then got on his knees, and it's middle of summer. Okay? Oof. Keep in mind, we moved in here in August. This was in July in Florida. Hot. Okay? He's doing this. And then he said, the bees are trying to get me. And runs out.
Killer bees on attack.
Runs out into the middle of traffic.
Oof.
And I said, hey. I said, you're going to die. He said, I know. That's why I'm running.
I got to get these bees off of me.
Right? And so we get him back on the property. I get in the golf cart, take my wife and my kids back to grandma's house, tell grandma what's going on because he works for her. You know, she ends up getting him home. I had to take his bike back. He lives with his parents. And right, his dad.
So
his dad is a man's man.
Yeah.
Okay.
No bullshit.
Yeah. Man, you know, man in that, like your dad. You know what I mean? Like just like
I know exactly.
You know what I'm
the type
saying?
of man he was.
And it was a little awkward at first, and he said, "So he was pretty bad, huh?" I said, "Yeah, man, he was." And he said, "Man," he said, and I could he started, and you know,
yeah, I know.
When
man.
a man's man,
a grown man, that's
when you see a grown man cry, it hits different
because you know he's in the worst pain that he could possibly be in.
Men like that don't cry.
They cut their fingers off on accident and they don't cry about it.
Yeah, and so I saw that tear, and I said, "Listen, man," I said, "just so you know, I've been where he is."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have been like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there is a chance, and anything that I can do to help, you let me know. And he didn't believe that maybe I was necessarily as bad as his son is. And he said, you didn't like shoot heroin. I said, Absolutely.
With toilet water.
Mixed with crack cocaine, lemon juice, and toilet water. I most certainly did, sir.
Yeah.
And he said, how'd you figure it out? And I said, when he's ready, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's things like that, right? That I can't change the fact of some of the pain that I've caused people. I can't change the things that I've done. I can't change how people feel about me, right? That is completely out of my control.
That's what Mama Patty used to say. It's not your business what other people think about you. It's none of your... She used to tell me that.
Huh?
I'm like, yeah, but I'm saying... said my shoes were fake. He said my Jordans were fake. I know my Jordans are fake. She's like, it's none of your business what he thinks about your Jordans. Quit it, like you said. Are you that self-centered?
Exactly.
Right.
And so, but the things that we can control and the things that we can do, right, is being a good human being, which is what I tell people all the time. I'm not in recovery to stay away from drugs and alcohol, right? Drugs and alcohol are a side effect.
Right.
I had a me problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so
A disease.
I surround myself with not people that are just trying to stay away from drugs and alcohol. I surround myself with people that are trying to be better human beings today than they were yesterday. And that's it. And most days I fail. You know what I mean? I fail on being a parent. I fail on being a spouse. I fail on being a friend most days. But at night, when I do that inventory, I'm like, all right, this is where I fell short. This is where I fell short. I'm going to try this tomorrow. I'm going to try this. And let's see what happens.
You know, a marathon. It is the marathon.
You know what I mean? And
shout out Nipsey.
Yeah, man. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because no matter what you do, you cannot change the past, right? And if anything, right? Sunday, we took our kids to the park, right?
Pretty much every Sunday.
Yeah. We do something cool, right?
Yeah.
But we took our kids to the park. You were playing catch with boys.
Yeah.
My daughter fucking running me ragged, right?
You had my daughter over there with you.
Yeah.
I had the boys over there.
It's things like that, right? That when people hear the story of you hitting your head on the tub in front of your son and taking a face planting in a tub full of H2O, right?
Yeah.
That
taking a scuba dive.
Right? People that don't know that you see that, they're like, damn, that dude's a good dad. He's a stand-up guy. You know what I mean? The things, listen, I see what you do with the kids. I see what you do for the kids. You know what I mean? I see the hurricane came and you're like, I'm getting down there. Yeah. And the determination, right? The determination in your eyes. That's why it was no question. Take the truck.
Yeah.
Whenever. Go.
Yeah.
Go handle that. You know what I mean? Don't stress. Go. Yeah. And it's things like that, right? That you cannot change the past, but you can control the future, right?
Right.
And it's by these little things. And that's all that we can ask for. You know what I mean? I tell people all the time that I'm grateful that I'm an addict, right? And it is, I wouldn't say a hot topic, but there's a lot of people who disagree. There's a lot of people who wish they weren't, right? My argument for that is the fact that normal people aren't forced to look at themselves in the mirror. They're not forced to see their faults or their shortcomings, right? And make necessary changes. They may not be surrounded with people who are not co-signing their bullshit, right?
Right.
So they just go on this thing called life, and they're in meaningless relationships, and they're in, transactional friendships.
Driftwood.
Exactly, right? Where we are in a spot that we have genuine friendships, right? Where it's not transactional. There's no expectations. It's, I got your back. Let's figure this thing out.
100.
And that's all that I think you can ask for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listen, this got deep, dude.
Yeah, this was a very deep episode. It was nice though. I enjoyed
it thoroughly.
Yeah, that was good for me to talk about that. I felt like I needed this one more than anybody on the face of the earth.
Yeah, you gotta.
This one was for me. We'll call this the Ludiette.
Absolutely, gotta get those things out, man. So until next time, check us out on Twitter, _home_group.
On Instagram, the Home Group Pod.
YouTube, don't know what it is.
It's the Home Group. It's just the Home Group.
We'll link everything in the description below. Thank you for joining us. Until next week, if you got today, give yourself a round of applause. You know I'm still going to do it, right?
Don't do it, dude. I can't even say it.